So the verse I've been assigned is Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 10, chapter 6, verse 35 to 36. So this is Putana's pastime. So just read out the translation first. So Putana was always hankering for the blood of human children, and with that desire she came to kill Krishna. But because she offered her breast to the Lord, she attained the greatest achievement. What then is to be said of those who had natural devotion and affection for Krishna as mothers, and who offered him their breasts to suck, or offered something very dear, as a mother offers something to a child? So the theme for the verse that I've chosen is Krishna's ultimate shelter, cause of his debt. So before we get into the verse itself, let's understand what actually happened this far. So up until this point in this chapter, we see that Putana is kind of one of the main personalities. So who is Putana, right? Putana is described as a Rakshasi, and she particularly enjoys killing babies and drinking their blood. But she's also a servant of Kamsa. And so Kamsa, because of his own anxieties, his own fears of death from one of the children that was born recently, he's sending out all these demons, all of his servants out to try and kill all the newborn children, one of whom is Putana. And at this stage, Bharata Maharaj is starting to get very anxious himself. He's starting to think about, he's absorbed so much in the Leela that he's starting to think, oh, what's going to happen to Krishna? But Shukdev Goswami consoles him. He explains that actually where people are engaged in devotional service, in chanting and hearing, there can never be any danger. And as we know, Gokul is a place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is personally present. So actually, Bharata Maharaj had no reason to be anxious. So at this stage, Putana is now going around to different towns, different villages to kill small children. And at some point, she arrives at Gokul. She transforms herself into a very beautiful woman, and it's described that how all the Gokulvasis were completely mesmerized by her. They just completely let her into Gokul. They completely let her come into Nanda Maharaj's courtyard and everything else. They just treated her as if, because she was so charming and so beautiful, they thought that she was the goddess of fortune herself, coming to see her husband Krishna, who was even more beautiful. And in this way, Putana was able to come close to Krishna, and then even when Yashoda and Rohini were there, they also didn't stop Putana from doing anything, from getting close to Krishna, and they watched her happily pick Krishna up into her arms, feed Krishna from her own breast milk. But Putana, being a Rakshasi, she had smeared poison all over her nipples, such that any child who would drink would then immediately die on the spot. That was how powerful the poison was. As Krishna is actually coming and seeing Putana when Putana is arriving, it's described that Krishna actually closes his eyes, and different acharyas give many different reasons for this. One such reason is that he was naturally scared. Another reason that's described is he's seeing that Putana's come as a mother, and he's having to kill Putana, who's in a motherly body, coming to actually give him motherly sort of affection and love. And many other acharyas have given different things. So as Krishna is now sucking the breast of Putana, Krishna, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is just sucking her breast, squeezing her breast, and sucking the poison, sucking the life out of Putana. And Putana is screaming, "Please leave me, suck my breast no longer." She's running out of Gokul, and Krishna is basically just enjoying and ultimately punishes her and kills her. And when all the Gokulvasis come, it's described that Putana's original form comes out. She's 12 miles long, and they are completely mesmerized and shocked at what has happened. Nand Maharaj comes from Mathura, and with all the Gokulvasis, they chop Putana up and ultimately then burn her, and her fragrance is described to be so amazing that actually, sorry, but I can't. Okay. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. No, that's fine. Okay. Right. Okay, so class for the verse, if we come to the verse today, so we can see, if we go back to the translation, that Putana achieved the greatest achievement. What is that greatest achievement? If we think about this, it's described in the next verse actually, that she achieved the position of a mother in the spiritual world. And this is quite bewildering for us, because in Bhagavad Gita 9.1, Krishna says, Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyami anasyuve. Oh Arjuna, I'm speaking this most confidential knowledge to you. Why? Because you are never envious of me. So in the Gita, Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that you get all this knowledge, you get the knowledge to get to come to him, to come to the spiritual world. Why? Because he's non-envious. He's a devotee and a very dear friend. He's bhakto sime sakacheti. And yet here we see Putana, who is a demon, who has come with the intent of actually killing Krishna, who gets the position that Krishna is describing to Arjuna from the Bhagavad Gita, the spiritual world, a relationship with Krishna. And then in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is also saying that he's equal to all. He's impartial. And he specifically says that actually, even though he's impartial, he plays the part of a friend to someone who renders service unto him in love and devotion. Now, if someone's coming to knock on Krishna's door, then what Krishna is really saying here is that he'll invite everybody in, he'll let them come in, and he'll reciprocate accordingly. He'll offer them snacks, he'll offer them food. But if a devotee comes and knocks on his door, then what will he do? He'll invite them in, but he'll prepare a nice sumptuous meal, a very special meal. He'll treat them. He'll invite them inside, and you'll be able to see a very big difference between the way he treats the devotees and everyone else, because the devotees are eager to meet Krishna, whereas everybody else may not be. They're just there for their own sense enjoyment. But we see here that Putana, she came with the intent of poisoning Krishna, and yet Krishna gives her the position of a mother in the spiritual world, all because she was disguised as a mother, as a nurse. And this is quite confusing. But this is the special mercy of Krishna. She came as an enemy, but Krishna accepted her as a friend, right? He discarded her demoniac personality. He discarded that whole concept of her coming to kill Krishna. All he saw was that she came with a motherly mood, even though the intent of that mood was to kill. We can use an analogy here of a doctor or a psychiatrist. If a patient goes to a doctor or a psychiatrist, say a mad person, these doctors, psychiatrists are there to actually treat the mad person. But the doctor doesn't become mad in the process. If the patient is kicking, screaming, getting angry, annoyed, getting aggressive on the doctor is still very sober. They still are patiently trying to treat the patient. And in the same way, Krishna, even though an enemy came to Krishna with the intent to kill, Krishna very calmly treated that illness that the demon had. And in the material world, especially in Kali Yuga, we find that if somebody's out there coming to harm us, coming to hurt us, what's our natural reaction? Our natural tendency is to retaliate, right? To harm them back, or try and do something before they come to us and cause distress. But here, Krishna is not looking at the bad side of the person. All he's doing is looking at the good side. And this is what makes Krishna great. In Canto 3, chapter 2, verse 23, Uddhava tells Vidura, "Alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than him, Lord Krishna, who granted the position of mother to the she demon Putana? although she was faithless and had prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. And as devotees, we can take this mercy of Krishna towards Putana as a great hope for us, because what qualification did Putana have? All she did was pretend to be an affectionate mother, but she attained the eternal position. And we see devotees actually imbibe this quality, this sort of merciful and glorification quality a lot as well. Like, how many times have we done a very simple service, you know, sometimes not even with the mood of doing service, but devotees are just magnifying that mood, and glorifying us. Oh, you know, that devotee, that Durga Mataji, all she did was be humble, service, do some humble service for us. She went out of her way to actually make my service easier, you know, and all we might have done is just held the door open, not even because we were holding the door open for them, but because we were just passing through the door as well. And so we just kept, you know, held it open for a bit because we saw them coming. But this is the mood of the devotee. This is the mood of Krishna. All they ever do is see the good and then maximize the good as much as they can. But the question we can ask here also is, well, why is Putana getting such special mercy though, right? That the devotees get. And the same question is actually asked by Brahma to Krishna in chapter 14 of Canto 10. My mind becomes bewildered just trying to think of what reward other than you could be found anywhere. You are the embodiment of all benedictions which you bestow upon these residents of the cowherd community of Vrindavan. You have already arranged to give yourself to Putana and her family members in exchange for disguising herself as a devotee. So what is left for you to give these devotees of Vrindavan, whose homes, wealth, friends, dear relations, bodies, children, and very lives and hearts are all dedicated only to you? Krishna gave himself to Putana. So what special mercy, what more can he give to the Brajvasis? And the answer is that what he gives is that he gives not only himself, but he actually gives his own service. He actually gives the pure devotees such a service that he can't even repay what they've done.
Okay, time's up. So I have a question for you. What is your takeaway from this class? You have prepared, I mean, I'm asking a very specific question. You went to the pastimes, everything, you gave a class also. So what was that one thing which actually moved you, I mean, inspired you or gave you a realization, wow, from this? Was there anything you felt like, or you realized, or you got convinced? Was there anything?
From the content, Prabhu, or from giving the class?
From the subject matter.
Subject matter. For me, it was very much about this point that I was just making about how Krishna is so merciful that even to Putana, who came to kill Krishna, right? We see all the time, like we look at the material world, we look at the materialists, impersonalists, all these Mayavadis, these scientists, etc. They're all trying to kill Krishna, kill God in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But Krishna is so merciful that even if they do something slightly that can be seen in a good way for Krishna, seen in a good way, good light for God, then Krishna will give himself to them still. And we as devotees, we're like trying to practice pleasing Krishna, but at least for myself, you know, it's in the process, but so difficult in pleasing Krishna, because even if the actions are there, the intent isn't there. But Krishna is so merciful that he'll still accept that as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Raghunath Puri Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Brijesh Prabhu, thank you so much for your elaborate. But I wanted to understand one thing. This is on the perspective of explanation. If somebody asks me, so becoming a dhatri, giving the position of a dhatri, that is basically the mother's position. to Putana. How do we explain that? Because Putana's intent was to kill. And Krishna outrightly obliges her, making her one of the mothers, 7 mothers. So how do we justify that? Because I mean, this question will arise, and it has been arise. I mean, it has been spoken to me many times. So how do we explain that? Hare Krishna.
Very good question.
So one thing that I kind of understood in the reading that I've done preparing for the class is that yes, Putana got the position of a nurse, of a mother in the spiritual realm, but actually that's a liberation that even devotees still don't necessarily care about. The position of a mother is obviously that relationship that we as devotees care about. But what Putana was still missing, which I haven't come across to kind of say it's not true, is the fact that even though Putana got the position of a mother, it doesn't mean that she got the relationship of a mother.
Right.
Because the relationship of a mother is that affection, that love, that care. So just because it's, I'd have to check my notes, but I think it's Gopal Champu, I think it is, that is described, that it's actually nurse, not necessarily mother, right? And the nurse, we see here as well, like nurses don't have that love and affection for the child as much as an actual mother does with that affection. So I don't know if that answers the question, because in that sense, it's like she attained the position, but she didn't attain the loving relationship in that position.
Yeah, she's a Dhatri. Dhatri is basically one of the mother.
That's
Yeah.
So Dhatri and Mata, definitely there is no comparison. But you need to understand that his pastimes actually exhibits the causeless mercy of the Lord. Definitely a demon attaining such a higher position.
Yeah.
But Lord's causeless mercy is Lord's causeless mercy. And if he wants, he can do anything. Like in a company, if a person owns a company like Dhirubhai or Mukesh Ambani, for example, if all of a sudden if Mukesh Ambani finds someone very diligent, suitable on the road, he just rolls his window down and he finds someone very suitable. He just asks him a couple of questions and he's impressed. So what does he do? He just picks him up from the street, makes him sit in a car, and makes him his private secretary, for example. So Mukesh Ambani doesn't have a right? He has. So Putana, she came with a desire to kill Krishna. That's fact. But she wore a dress of Mother Yashoda, and she came disguised as a devotee. So there is a point to be noted that if someone simply even pretends to be a devotee, Krishna will definitely purify his existence. So what to say, just like Brajesh was mentioning, what to say about those devotees who are chanting 60 rounds every day, following the Reverend principles, reading Bhagavatam, speaking Bhagavatam, and have given their entire life for the service of the Lord. So definitely the Lord will deliver those devotees. So the point of comparison is that if Lord can be merciful on Putana, then we should have unflinching faith in this, in Lord Krishna, that the Lord will definitely deliver us. Our problem is that, I'm talking in general, I'm not talking as Raghunath Puri Prabhu, for Raghunath Puri. I'm saying in general, our problem is lack of
Faith.
unflinching faith. Faith is there, little faith is there. I'm saying lack of unflinching faith. So that's what is lacking. So once we attain that unflinching faith, then our progress in Krishna consciousness is very rapid. So, yeah, Dhatri also has love for Krishna. It doesn't mean that Dhatri doesn't have that. She has love. Actually, there was a Prabhupada disciple, and he also had the same question. So he went to a sadhu. I will not say the name, sadhu. And he asked him he was asking very specifically, he was emphasizing. And the sadhu very simply answered, yes, Putana is serving in Golok Vrindavan. I have seen that Putana is engaged in the service of the Lord. So our scriptures, when they're saying something, we should have unflinching faith in that particular thing, and then we can estimate the mercy, the causeless mercy of the Lord. Actually, this pastimes, by these pastimes, one can actually हिंदी में बोलूँ तो भगवान इस घटना से, इस पूतना उद्धार लीला से हमें भगवान के कृपा की सीमा बताई गई है. Limit of Lord's mercy, there is no limit actually. So how Lord can be merciful? So that is a very important point to be taken from this. And then devotees should develop unflinching faith. So it is said that if the destiny which Putana got, we can also get that simply by hearing the pastimes Krishna delivering Putana. So, Hare Krishna. Dinapam Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah, Prabhu. I thought that, you chose Mukesh Ambani because of me. But anyway, Prabhu, what you said about is that unflinching
You work
faith.
with Reliance?
Prabhu? I'm working with Reliance, Prabhu, for last 28 years. serving Mukesh Ambani.
Okay. No problem. Yes, Dinapam Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Bridges Prabhu. Nice presentations, nice explanation, wonderful class. So just a realization, regarding the question that we are now discussing, actually thing is that we need to realize that all these incidents that are described in Bhagavatam, these are not ordinary souls. The main purpose of all the scriptures, all the incarnations are that the Supreme Lord wants all this conditioned soul to get attracted to him, and so that we can go back to Godhead. So for that, he has devised so many things, like he comes in the form of a scripture, comes in the form of a devotee, spiritual master. So that is the main purpose. So we need to understand that these souls, though maybe they're acting like demons, they come, try to kill Krishna and all, they are not ordinary souls like us. They are always liberated souls. And also through the one kind of pastime, Lord manifests so many pastimes. Like we know the Putana, she was a Ratnabali, this is a sister of Bali Maharaj. And when Bamandev first arrived in the arena of Yajna, that Ratnabali thought, oh my God, This is so nice, beautiful child. If I could wish have him as my child. And as soon as Bamande cheated Boli Maharaj, she developed a reverse desire. If such a son happened to be my son, I would have killed him. So because Lord Ji Antaryami, he knows everything, and to just perform his first time, she has been chosen as an actress in this drama. So only thing is that what is the take away from this class is that already Brajasundar Prabhu was already told us. So all this first time we need to know Jena Tena Prakarena Mana Krishna Nibesve. By how, by hook or crook, it has been described by Rupa Goswami also, and it has been told by Narad Muni and Yudhishthira in the Rajasuya Yajna after the Sisupal incidents. So because Yudhishthira Maharaj asked, how come Sisupal, who was so envious from since his birth, how he got this Ajishya Mukti? So as a devotee, we need to understand that we have 100% hope because we are trying to follow the devotional service pathway. Those who are not trying, they are getting promoted to the Supreme Lord, they are getting nearer, they are getting as a servant position. And those who are serving faithfully, definitely we have a hope. So that is the hope, because and also it's been very nicely explained in one of the Bhagavatam sloka, the Samasrita Aja Padapallabha. Those who are taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, for them this whole material world is just like a water that is spot into like hoops, cups, hoops, print. So that is our hope actually, because the material world is so tight, so difficult to surmount. But if we take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, definitely we'll definitely pass away, surpass this insurmountable version. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Prabhuji, it is one of the Kunti Maharani Stuti that you said about.